The ancient history of the Monsterverse is an area that has not yet received much attention, but some important details and events still transpired during this time. Although the theory isn't proven accurate for many years to come, the cinematic universe operates under the belief that the Hollow Earth theory is accurate. The theory states that there is a tunneling system beneath the surface of the planet that allows the Titans to travel across the globe out of sight, out of mind, and emerge at specific areas. Here is a complete timeline of the Monsterverse. 252 million BC, the Titans enter hibernation. A meteorite crashes on Earth, eliminating all airborne radiation and most of all life on the planet. Without their natural radioactive power source, Godzilla and the other kaiju must find another way to live. Many of them entered hibernation for millions of years, while some went underwater or underground in search of radiation sources. 2 million to 100,000 years ago. Cave paintings shown in the movies and on monarch websites don't provide exact details on when the events happened, but we do know that humans had direct contact with Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra and Ghidorah millions of years ago. These paintings depict a previous fight for dominance that had Godzilla and Mothra work together to attack Ghidorah, or was it Dagon and an earlier incarnation of Mothra? 50,000 to 10,000 BC. A kingdom was established on an island in the Atlantic Ocean. It was a place that people revered the Titans and they lived in harmony with one another. Unknown to us, under mysterious circumstances, that kingdom was dragged underwater and as the lost city of Atlantis. 12,000 BC. The people of southern China came into contact with a benevolent Titan and started to revere her as a deity that blesses them. They then constructed a temple around it and the egg that was laid. This Titan is none other than Mothra. 1100 BC. Around the year 1100 BCE, Muto Prime encounters a member of Godzilla's species, referred to as Dagon by Monarch, and the two Titans engage in a ferocious battle. Eventually she gains the upper hand, beating down Dagon, but not fully killing it. Using her ovipositors, she inserts her eggs into the stomach lining of the wounded Dagon, leaving them to feed off the Titan's nuclear-rich blood while it still lives. Ancient Greece, 1000 to 500 BC. All those years before the current era, Greek mythology was at its baby steps, and when scholars started to note down the myths, two monsters were mentioned that are eerily familiar to the Titans we see today. These are Typhon and Scylla. Pre-Columbian South America. In South America, however, there are folklores about a huge creature that is half sloth and half mammoth in appearance. This animal, or rather a cryptid, is called Mapinguari, but now known as Titanus Behemoth. The Medieval Age. Methuselah was disturbed from his resting place and he relocated himself to another sweet spot for himself to hibernate. This place happened to be on the outskirts of Munich, Germany. This Titan is now known to be the oldest and the biggest after Ghidorah bit the dust. 1802 AD. The first reported and documented sightings of the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. This elusive creature bears stark resemblance to a sauropod dinosaur, or at least a plesiosaur. This creature is now dubbed by Monarch as Titanus Leviathan. 1943, the USS Lawton Incident. After only sparingly seeing Titans, an unknown one is involved with wrecking the USS Lawton. The incident saw the unidentified creature attack the ship and kill every single person on board except for one. William Randa was the only survivor of the event, which was covered up by the government. 1944, Skull Island welcomes the two outsiders. During World War II, USA pilot Hank Marlowe and Japanese pilot Gunpei Ikari engage in aerial combat and crash lands on Skull Island as a result. The two soldiers fight throughout the unknown terrain and are only stopped when they meet Kong for the first time. August 6, 1945, Hiroshima bombing awakens the Titans. The bombings of Hiroshima releases radiation that awakens two nearby kaiju, Shinomura and Godzilla, and draws them out to the city to feed on it. Among the millions of casualties was Eiji Serizawa's wife. After finding his young son Ishiro, Eiji spots Shinomura leaving the premises, which makes him believe that these legendary creatures do indeed exist. 1946, Monarch was founded. After the cover-up of the USS Lawton incident, the United States begins to believe that finding and studying the Titans needs to be done. To make this happen, President Harry Truman provides free-off booking funding to establish Monarch. 1946 to 1950, Shinomura and Godzilla fighting repeatedly. The 5-year flurry of fights between Shinomura and Godzilla begins in 1946. The two monsters are spotted in Russia and the Philippines during the same year. 1953 Shinomura cell discovered in the Philippines. While the regular Shinomura hasn't been seen in years, Monarch does discover a cell from the monster's time in the Philippines. 1954 Bikini Atoll bombings. Fast forwarding a year, and the two Shinomura combine into one being on Monster Island. As usual, Godzilla arrives to fight the monsters and splits them apart using his atomic breath. The action kills one of Shinomura, while the thermonuclear bomb is successful in killing the other Shinomura. 1973 Kong Skull Island. After getting pictures of Skull Island, William Randa and Houston Brooks secure the necessary funding and resources for them and follow Monarch researcher San to make the trip there. All the events that followed are those of the Skull Island movie. June 12, 1981, Ishiro Serizawa joins Monarch. The day after his father Eiji passed away, Ishiro Serizawa is recruited by Monarch to follow on his footsteps. He agrees to join the organization and soon becomes a vital part of the rest of their work moving forward. 1991 Isla de Mona Quarantine Zone established. The first series of new discoveries for Monarch, they finally find a brand new titan to monitor almost 20 years after seeing Kong. They establish a quarantine zone around Isla de Mona's volcano, which is where Rodan lies in pyrostasis. August 7, 1995 The secret trip to Skull Island. Aaron Brooks recruits a cast of characters to join him on a secret mission, but proves to have familiar results. They crash land on Skull Island just like the previous group, but Kong saves most of them by killing the Death Jackals. 1999 Giant fossil discovered in the Philippines. Over 40 years after finding a Shinomura cell in the Philippines, Monarch discovers a giant animal fossil that was killed by parasitic spores. One spore was dormant and moved to the Yucca mountain in Nevada for safekeeping and monitoring. The second, however, the male spore already hatched and is quickly setting a course for the nearest source of radiation. 1999 Janjira Incident. The hatch-made Muto journeys into a nuclear power plant in Janjira, Japan. The Muto begins feeding on the plant, causing seismic anomalies beneath the facility that results in reactors at the base to rupture. Joe Brody is forced to seal the doors shut, which kills his wife Sandra in the process. The Muto continues to absorb radioactive fuel for the next 15 years while cocooned in what is left of the power plant. 2005 Orca technology created. Emma and Mark Russell inadvertently put themselves on Monarch's radar when they tested Orca, a revolutionary communication device that has the potential to speak to Titans. The readings see Monarch send Vivian Graham and Ishiro Serizawa to Boston under the belief that a new Titan was emerging. Instead, it was a piece of technology that could prove important to the Monsterverse's future. 2009 Mothra cocoon discovered. Dr. Eileen Chen and her sister Dr. Ling are alerted to a strange singing coming from the rainforest of China's Yunnan province. They recognize the sound from an ancient history and take Emma Russell and her team with them to discover a giant temple with a massive chrysalis containing Mothra. They estimate that the temple was built 12,000 years ago. Monarch builds another containment facility around Mothra, which becomes Monarch Outpost 61. 2014 Godzilla. When Ford returns home from his tour, he has to go bail his father out of jail for trespassing. In a last-ditch effort to prove Joe's theory correct, they go back to Janjiro only to discover it is not radioactive at all, and that Monarch has built a containment unit around the nuclear power plant. This later ensued into the events of Godzilla 2014, ending in Godzilla killing both Mutos and saving the entire world. 2014. In the year 2014, Muto Prime resurfaces and attacks a naval base in Guam, attracted to the payloads of the nuclear submarine stationed there. She lifts the submarine with her mouth and crushes it with her mandibles, before Godzilla rises from the ocean to stop her. The two have a brief fight before Muto Prime retreats, burrowing deep underground. The same thing happened in France and in the Azores until finally, with the help of the humans, Godzilla was able to kill Muto Prime. May 11, 2015, a new era of Monarch begins. Monarch hires Sam Coleman to help usher in a new era for the organization. He is tasked with helping declassifying Monarch's documents and eventually begins new initiatives to further be transparent to the rest of the world. 2016 Ghidorah located in Antarctica. The latest major discovery for Monarch, they discovered the three-headed Ghidorah frozen in Antarctica. Vivian Graham leads the building project to create another containment facility around the biggest titan they've ever documented. 2019 Emma Russell and the eco-terrorists awakened Mothra. They then left for Antarctica to awaken Monster Zero, which created a chain of events leading to the awakening of all the Titans all at once. This all led to the events of Godzilla King of the Monsters and the eventual defeat of Ghidorah and Godzilla becoming the king of the monsters. 2020, all the Titans have now been summoned or called to Skull Island, whether by a new Orca device used by Monarch or by another Titan. These will lead up to the events of Godzilla vs Kong, and how this will turn out is up to us to see next year. So do stay tuned for the next videos about Titans, monsters and kaiju and everything associated with them. Do like, share and subscribe, and do click the notification. You might as well bookmark the page.